Hello, Raider Nation. How's everyone doing today? It's always great to be back with you, talking about our beloved Las Vegas Raiders. But today, we have something a bit heated to discuss. What exactly happened in our win against the Jaguars? We came out on top, but was this a mistake? Before we dive in, be sure to comment on what you thought of the win or the strategic loss. And of course, subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 2K subscribers, and with your help, we'll keep bringing you fresh Raiders news straight to you. So, let's get into it. Raider Nation, buckle up, the story is just getting started. A storm before the victory. When the game against the Jaguars began, the atmosphere was charged. This was no ordinary game. For the Raiders, it represented a pivotal moment, a crossroads. With the team already out of playoff contention, the big question was whether they would play to win or follow a strategy that many fans considered smarter. Lose to secure a better draft pick. But the truth is, the pressure on the team and coaching staff was palpable. Losing was being discussed as a potential route, but no one expected the Raiders to actually win against a mediocre team like the Jaguars. With the season pretty much lost for the Raiders, a win seemed like a double-edged sword. But how would it impact the team's future? A glimmer of hope. As the game unfolded, the tension was almost unbearable. Both teams struggled to gain ground, with the Jaguars moving the ball efficiently at times, but facing tough Raider defenses. Then, a play sparked hope in the hearts of the fans. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie QB for the Raiders, connected on a beautiful 24-yard pass to Jacoby Myers, moving the team into a scoring position. But as the game went on, the Raiders struggled. The Jaguars weren't backing down. Their defense and special teams were stout, forcing the Raiders to take risks and make adjustments. The back and forth was making the game feel like it could go either way, but that hope started to grow among fans who thought, maybe, just maybe, this could turn into something special, a controversial victory. Fast forward to the final moments of the game, and the Raiders had pulled off the unthinkable, a 19-14 victory over the Jaguars. But as the final whistle blew, a strange feeling lingered in the air. While a win is always celebrated, many fans felt that this victory came at a significant cost. With this win, the Raiders' record improved, but it also pushed them down the draft order. In what seemed like a victory for pride and morale, the Raiders lost their chance at a top 5 draft pick, potentially costing them a shot at the best quarterbacks of the 2024 class. Cam W. and Shadowr Sanders were names that many fans had hoped would join the team, but now they were likely out of reach. The decision to play to win instead of securing a higher draft position was the crux of the controversy. Many wondered if this was a move that would haunt the Raiders for years to come. Did the Raiders just shoot themselves in the foot? Raider Nation, the draft is everything right now. Every win, no matter how small, pushes us further away from those elite quarterback prospects that are essential to turning this franchise around. With the Raiders now holding the 6th overall pick, their hopes of landing a franchise-changing quarterback are much slimmer. The question now becomes, can the Raiders trade up to secure a top pick? Will GM Tom Telesco be aggressive enough to make a move, or will he stick to his conservative approach and settle for a mid-tier option? Raider Nation is waiting, but time is running out. Mention potential trade scenarios and players that could be targeted, discussing the possibility of moving up in the draft to secure a top pick. Fans are divided. After the win, Raider Nation was divided. On one hand, fans were thrilled by the victory. The team had shown fight, resilience, and pride. On the other hand, there was an underlying sense of frustration and regret. Some fans feel that winning in this situation was a huge mistake, potentially delaying the franchise's long-term rebuild. It's not just about this game. It's about building a team that can compete year in and year out. While this win gave the Raiders another notch in the win column, it might have done more harm than good for the future of the team. What's next for him? Another element of this controversy revolves around Antonio Pierce, the Raiders' head coach. Despite his passionate leadership, the question remains, is he the right person to lead the team moving forward? His decisions in this game, especially the choice to keep pushing for a win rather than tanking, will likely be scrutinized in the offseason. If the Raiders end up stuck in the middle of the pack, missing out on their ideal draft targets, will Pierce's job be on the line? While some fans have expressed their support for Pierce, Others are questioning whether he can guide the Raiders back to glory or if it's time to look elsewhere for a new head coach. The final stretch for the Raiders. Looking ahead, the Raiders still have 2 more games to play in the regular season. The question is, do they continue to play to win, or do they focus on securing a higher draft pick? A loss now could be more beneficial than another win, but will the team adopt that mindset? These final games will determine where the Raiders end up in the draft and whether they can position themselves for a better future. Discuss the last 2 games, highlighting key matchups and the potential outcomes for both the team and their draft positioning. What can the Raiders take from this season? What has this season taught us? One of the most important lessons is that the Raiders need to focus on rebuilding. Whether it's finding the right quarterback, improving the offensive line, or solidifying the defense, this team has a lot of work to do. Despite the flashes of talent seen in certain players, there's a lot of ground to cover before the Raiders can compete with the NFL's elite teams. The Raiders need a clear strategy for the future, and the 2024 draft is the first step in that direction. What's your take on the situation? Now, it's your turn, Raider Nation. What do you think of this victory? Was it a good win for the team, or did it harm the future of the franchise? Let me know in the comments below. Your opinion matters. Also, if you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. A double-edged sword. Sunday's game was full of mixed emotions. As fans, we were all hoping for a win at Allegiant Stadium, but the price of that victory might have been too high. The Raiders won 19-14, snapping their 10-game losing streak, but it was a win that might have hurt more than it helped. Going into the game, the Raiders were in a prime position for the top pick in the draft, which would have given them a shot at one of the best quarterbacks in the 2024 class. But now, with the win, the Raiders fall to the 6th overall pick, and the chance of securing a top quarterback like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward is looking slim. So, what does this victory really mean for the Raiders' future? Did we sacrifice our best chance at rebuilding just to get a win? That's the question on everyone's mind. Is the cost of winning too high? Before Sunday's game, the Raiders were primed to land a top 5 draft pick, with the possibility of drafting a young, talented quarterback to lead the team into the future. Many fans were actually hoping for a loss. Not for the team to tank, but to secure a better draft position. Now that the Raiders have a win under their belt, it's clear that the road to a top quarterback just got much harder. The 6th overall pick doesn't offer much room to get a high-tier quarterback, and the Raiders will likely need to trade up to get into the top 5. That means more resources will be spent, and if the Raiders can't make that move, they'll have to settle for a quarterback that's not in the top tier. What are your thoughts, Raider Nation? Did we make the right call by winning this game, or should we have played for a better draft pick? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. A celebration, but at what cost? After the game, Raiders owner Mark Davis was seen clapping and celebrating in the locker room, clearly pleased with the victory. But here's the problem. He might be celebrating a win that doesn't do much for the long-term success of the team. While Davis is within his rights to be happy with the team's performance, it's important to look at the bigger picture. Years from now, no one will remember this specific game, but they will remember the quarterback the Raiders were able to bring in to turn the franchise around. If the Raiders can't secure a top 5 pick now, they might be forced to make a desperate move in free agency, which could end up costing them more in the long run. What do you think, Raider Nation? Was this one worth it for the franchise? Or should we be looking beyond this victory to the next chapter of the team's future? Let me know your thoughts below. Torn between pride and future potential, Raider Nation has been divided ever since the final whistle blew. On one hand, there's pride in the win. Our team showed heart, determination, and never gave up. But on the other hand, there's a growing concern. Did this victory just cost us our future? Fans are split. Some believe that winning the game is a step in the right direction and that it shows the team's resilience. Others feel like this victory might have been the worst possible outcome, given that it pushes us further down the draft board. Where do you stand, Raider Nation? Are you happy with the win or frustrated with the way it could affect the future? Comment below and let's get the discussion going. What's next for the Raiders? One of the biggest concerns after this victory is the quarterback situation. The Raiders were in a position to land a game-changing quarterback in the 2024 draft, but now that they've fallen further down the board, they'll need to consider alternative routes. If the Raiders can't get their hands on a top draft pick, they may need to get creative. Trade up in the draft, or maybe look for a veteran QB in free agency. But how aggressive will they be? Will they make the move to secure the future of the team? Or will they risk going into 2025 with Aiden O'Connell at the helm? That's the big question now. Aggressive moves or stagnation? Looking ahead to the offseason, the Raiders are at a crossroads. Do they stick with their current roster? Or do they make bold moves to ensure a successful future? The draft is critical, but free agency will also play a huge role in shaping the next chapter of the Raiders. This offseason will define the trajectory of the team, and whether the Raiders continue their rebuilding process or try to make a quick push for relevance. With a possible quarterback change on the horizon, the team must decide how much they're willing to sacrifice for the long-term gain. Where do we go from here, Raider Nation? Where do we go from here, Raider Nation? The win against the Jaguars wasn't just another victory. It was a turning point for the future. The question is, what will we do with this new position? In the coming weeks, the Raiders will face critical decisions that will define their path. Will they make the necessary moves in the draft and free agency to secure their future? Or will they continue to struggle to find their way? The stakes have never been higher. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so we can reach our goal of 2K subscribers. Raider Nation, we need your support to keep bringing you all the latest news and insights on the Las Vegas Raiders. Stay tuned for the next video, where we'll dive into the Raiders' next steps and the potential moves they need to make this offseason.